My name is Tiffany and I'm going to be talking about fibromyalgia today. Fibromyalgia is a chronic syndrome that causes widespread pain, which has also been linked to fatigue, chronic back pain, and depression. So take a moment and think about your day-to-day life. So you wake up this morning, you get ready, you head off to work, and everything's great. You have a good day at work, you get home, feed your kids or whatever it is you do, head off to bed and call it a night. Great day altogether. The next morning you wake up and you feel totally different. Your body aches, your back hurts, you just feel exhausted like you didn't sleep at all. Could be the flu, could be a cold, or something to that extent. Or maybe it's more. Perhaps it's something more. Day after day you realize you have these same symptoms, and then it turns into week after week. Your appearance hasn't changed, you look the same on the outside, but inside you're physically hurting, you're exhausted. You decide to take a visit to the doctor. The doctor advises you that you don't have the flu or some sort of bacterial infection or a cold. You actually have fibromyalgia. 1 out of 50 Americans are diagnosed each and every day with fibromyalgia, according to the American College of Rheumatology. 1 out of 50. The top 3 symptoms today we're going to discuss are fatigue, chronic back pain, and depression. Studies show that 90% of fibromyalgia sufferers report moderate to severe fatigue, and that's reported by fibromyalgiasymptoms.org. Fatigue is caused by many things, such as pain, no sleep, just exhaustion. Those morning jogs that you usually do, at this point you can't fathom the thought of getting out of bed to go for a jog, go to the gym, or what have you. And now you usually do meetings every week. You have your meetings at work each and every week. Those meetings now that you usually speak at with no issue have now turned into a cloudy mind, you're forgetful, and you just can't think like you used to. Now, at this point, you've went into long periods of fatigue. Now, that causes mitochondrial dysfunction. That's when the mitochondria doesn't have enough nutrients to power our bodies. So you go into mitochondrial dysfunction. The second symptom is chronic back pain. That's the #1 complaint. More than 3.5 million people, men and women, report neck and back pain. They can't function comfortably on a day-to-day basis. They can't function at all for the most part. And that's also reported by fibromyalgiasymptoms.org. Back pain can be very difficult to describe. I'm sure at some point we've all had some sort of back pain. It depends on the person, but it can be anything from burning to tingling to deep muscle ache. Many different reasons that your back hurts, and many different types of pain. Finally, we'll talk about depression. WebMD shows that studies have reported that 3 out of 10 people complain with being extremely depressed. 3 out of 10. And guys, I know what you're thinking. You've been depressed when your favorite team loses the Super Bowl, or when our favorite cat Fluffy has to have surgery. Well, that's not at all what we're talking about here. We're talking about day-to-day constant sadness. That can eventually lead to isolation. And you're probably thinking, how in the world would this lead to isolation? Well, isolation means at this point those jogs that you usually do in the mornings, you can't fathom those anymore. Well, you're isolating yourself. Now you're laying on the couch in your fuzzy slippers instead of getting up and going and do your job because you're just exhausted. The last one would be uncontrollable tearfulness, and again, that's part of the depression. Whether it be a commercial or a comment or what have you, there are just some times that you just become so emotionally distressed for no reason whatsoever. For example, take a look at this commercial, and I know you're thinking, just by seeing it, it's a Jif commercial, for God's sake. But this commercial in itself caused me to become upset. Again, a standard peanut butter commercial, for God's sake. But this commercial caused me to become very upset after hearing it, or after watching it. So in closing, just know that fibromyalgia is not something that's caught in the air, by touch, by a kiss. Fibromyalgia is actually, there's no known cause at this time. It's linked to be brought on by car accidents, surgeries, injuries, and even the Epstein-Barr virus. I hope you learned something new today about fibromyalgia, and at least you know the top 3 symptoms. Thank you so much for your time. Dad, you didn't show yourself.